Hey everyone, a question I often get is, what do entrepreneurs get wrong about patents and how to avoid it? So it's very common as an attorney to talk to entrepreneurs on a regular basis. The people most in need of patents are folks starting business, established businesses that are trying to maintain their place in the market. So a lot of my clients are in the entrepreneurial space, and there are just many misconceptions, I guess. Predominantly is the importance of patents. You can come up with lots of excuses. You wouldn't want to file a patent. There's lots of stories out there. There's ways to be successful without filing patents, and that may be true. And in certain industries, it certainly is true. But what I would do is I would just look around, as in your space. An entrepreneur should look at the companies that are established, what they would aspire their company to be like, and look to see whether those companies are filing patents. And if they are filing patents, if you plan to be successful, you should too. It's just as simple as that. And if you're taking a different tack in that regard, you're just in denial. Most importantly is that when you look at seeking investment or you look at being acquired or anything like that, who's going to be investing, who's going to be acquiring, and what are you going to be when you get that investment? You're going to be like those big companies around you. So just take a page out of their playbook, and if they're filing patterns, you should too. It's about as simple as that. But, there's been studies that have shown that companies that seek out patents are much more likely to get funding. They're much more likely to grow. They're much more likely to go public. And that's kind of the conventional wisdom. So don't talk yourself out of it. It's probably important that you get patents. There are exceptions. There are certain areas where there just aren't a lot of patents. If you look at those established companies, you're going to see that they're not filing benefits either. But if you're in one of the areas that is heavily patented, you need to file patents too, for a lot of reasons. I could lecture a whole day on what those reasons would be. But certainly as an entrepreneur, you want your company to get funding. You want your company to grow. You want your company perhaps to go public or be acquired. And for all those reasons, you need patents. A lot of people think about patents as something, well, I'm going to get a patent then. I'm going to assert the patent, this and that. Well, as an entrepreneur, that's way, way, way before you get to that point. You need to do the simple things like attract investors, raise capital, grow, go public, be acquired. So for those reasons alone, and patents are something that you want to consider and pursue. The next major mistake that I see with entrepreneurs is that they get the timing all off. Its patents have to be filed very early in the process, before you publicly disclose, before you release a product. That's the best time to file your patent. And in fact, if you wait for your own user disclosure of that patent, that idea will make it so that you can't file a patent. So US has a 1-year grace period from those events. Many other countries don't have any grace period. So the second you disclose or commercialize, you've given up your ability to file a patent. So you have to start very early in the process. And that's when you're least sure of how things are going to evolve, the importance of something. But that's when you come up with your best ideas. As an entrepreneur who is entering a particular area, they're attacking a problem and they're coming up with solutions, presumably because they don't exist in the marketplace, to claim their stake in that market. And that's really the game plan for filing a patent, is if you're doing all of that, you've got a problem that you're solving with some sort of technology. There's probably a patent in there. And even if it's a little difficult, perhaps to get a patent in that space. And investors are likely to want to see patterns so that you might just pursue it anyway. And when given the choice, an investor, no matter what they say, will take a patented opportunity over a very similar situant unbounded opportunity. Just because of hedges, there are patents. The patents at least provide that, but some investors are completely in love with patents. And for those investors, if you don't pursue some sort of IP strategy, including patents, they're just not going to take you very seriously. Sorry, I would say that avoiding that or not getting started early enough, you're almost planning for failure. But I think any good entrepreneur is planning for success. The other big thing that I see entrepreneurs getting wrong about patents is they think, The other idea is perhaps in a technology area. Yeah, not very groundbreaking, such that they don't think they can get a patent on that. And I would say most of the time that I get that sentiment, it's not true. Now, it may be more difficult to get a patent, and there are strategies. A good patent attorney can help you. But if you're coming out with some sort of solution that solves a problem that doesn't exist in the marketplace, and presumably you're doing it in a unique way because you're not going to develop something in that area where there's already that product out there. There's probably something you can, and just talk to good patent attorney, and you'll find that they're very adept at coming up with strategies on what they might be able to get a patent on. And there's also tools that will predict the likelihood to get a patent in a particular area. And those tools can help guide you toward the things that are more likely to get patents. So generally, what I think of is when you have a technical problem and a technical solution with something new that has some sort of advantages over the competition, and that's enough to get a patent, at least have a chance at getting a patent. You know, it has to go through the process and so forth. You might want to file several patents to increase your likelihood of getting some patent out the other end. But it's to discount the fact that you could get a patent on something, it's just incorrect thinking, to be blunt. Most things can be patented. The bar is very, very low. It's very, very low. The example that I give is, well, talk to somebody else, say, well, you know, Edison invented the light bulb, and that's actually not true. There was a Frenchman that came up with the idea of two electrodes and a filament in between. The problem is that that design only lasted about a week, and Edison was trying to sell us electricity. You couldn't displace the conventional solution, which was oil-filled lamps in the downtown area, which lasted about a week, and the light bulb that lasts about a week. You're just not going to displace that. Solution, so he tried in succession. Over 1,000 things that might be a better filament, and just crazy things, horse's hair, all kinds of crazy things, and they found out that carbonized bamboo would last 6 weeks. That's what Edison did. You know, many other people came up with innovations and light bulbs last longer or be brighter and that sort of thing. But today, everybody says Edison and light bulb. And really, anybody could have tried 1,000 things in succession. I could have tried the monkey to do that. You just had the gumption to go about doing it because he was solving a problem. He sells electricity, and that caused him to come up with something that was commercially viable against the conventional solution. So certainly your innovation is probably more involved than just simply trying 1,000 crazy things. Never discount your contributions, and only through time testing. Before how an industry develops, will you ever even know what is a big innovation or a small innovation? It's only in hindsight that you can judge that today you're just trying to solve a problem. And if you think you can market that problem and make a few dollars off of it or build a company around it, there's probably patents that can be brought to bear to help you get investment, keep competition at bay, grow as a company, and perhaps have a favorable exit if that's your goal. So yeah, with that, I hope that answers the question. So please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're getting something out of these videos, and then keep those questions coming. Thank you.